Thoughts on Vince McMahon?
You know, Vince has pissed a lot of people off because he broke stride. He did things, so did Sam Walton. So did people in every big, huge company today just do things differently. If they played football in a dirt field with no cheerleaders and no big fancy stadiums and everything, it wouldn't be football. You know, so Vince took 30, 40 years of wrestling and knowledge and fan base and everything else and just changed it to a different situation. Did he put a lot of people out of business? Absolutely. You know, I mean, does Walmart put a lot of people out of business? Absolutely. Bottom line is succeed. We're all here trying to succeed. We all don't really get concerned with who gets buried in the, who gets outrun in the race or who, whatever. We're all very competitive and we all want to be the best. And Vince has shown that he is a very smart businessman. He's not afraid to get out and scrap and lay his nuts on the line for something that he believes in. He's been extremely polite and nice to myself and my family and, you know, my dad and everything. He's been very good to, you know, Barry Windham and different people that have had medical issues that he helped hugely. So he's got a good heart. He's a great business guy and he's been very successful. I mean, what could you say? I mean, that's a fact. That's the way it is. Yes, did he help put Championship Wrestling from Florida out of business? Correct. Did he help bankrupt all the other wrestling companies in America? Correct. How many mom and pop grocery stores and hardware stores did Home Depot? How many hardware stores did they put out of business? You know, so that's just either you keep up the pace, you set out and run harder, or you get left behind. That's just the way it is in anything.
What is the problem with the business today? What isn't the problem?
You know, the problem with the business. Well, the problem with the business today is there really isn't any business. The business, the way it is run today, is being very successful. So, yeah, in the eyes of an old timer, you could say, oh, the problem with business today is there's not a territory in Texas and Georgia and California and Louisiana and this and this and this and this, but who's to say those territories would still be here anyway? So, problem with the business today, I mean, you've got a lot of, Vince has surrounded himself with a lot of talented guys, Ricky Steamboat, Arn Anderson, Barry Windham, Mike Rotundo, Michael Hayes. He has taken a nucleus of guys that know a lot about the wrestling business and is working with them to take what he believes, what Vince believes, and put it in a wrestling kind of content to merge the two together. And he's doing a very good job about it. You know, that's so you really, it ain't broken. If the car, if it ain't broken, don't fix it. And in his world, it ain't broken by any stretch of the imagination.
What do you think is lacking in the independent wrestlers and indie wrestling today?
I really haven't been to any independent shows. A lot of people, because of the allure, because of the magic of professional wrestling, because of the wanting to do it or something, I think there are a lot of young kids that are 110 pounds that will never have any chance of being a wrestler, that don't look like a wrestler, don't talk like a wrestler, don't know how to wrestle, have nothing going, and they're wearing blue jeans and sneakers or whatever, and they're jumping off the top turnbuckle, and they're just doing stupid things. And wrestling fans, I think, go maybe to some independent shows, and they see a lot of these people that just have no chance or no idea about what they're doing. And when you went to a wrestling show 25 years ago, everybody that went to the ring in Florida, everybody looked like a professional. They all had their tights, their boots, they were in shape, they trained, they tanned, There was no kids wearing hats sideways and blue jeans on and that looked like they could just walk in off the street and got in the ring. Be like, do you think the attendance would go down in football stadiums if they let everybody wear, if they wanted to put a T-shirt over their shoulder pads and maybe wear a number, or wear sneakers instead of boots, and don't wear a helmet, wear wear your necklaces, and I think it's lost a lot of its professional intimacy because a lot of people in the independent circuit are trying, but they just don't kind of know what to do, So I would say professionalism is probably the main thing that hurts the independent shows. And no teachers, no coaches. And if you put one guy that doesn't know anything against another guy that doesn't know anything, when the match is over, they're going to come out and neither one of them learn nothing. So nobody's going to get any better. You've got to wrestle. You've got to be able to see. You've got to be able to understand and have somebody talk to you that knows about the wrestling business to explain why, how, when, where. And without that, you're just going to fumble around and do 3 backflips and fall through a table. You ain't going to do nothing.
That's that. In your career, we're going to finish this up now with basically all about you and things like that. In your career, who did you find that was overrated and underrated?
Overrated and underrated. I would say Lex Luger was probably the most overrated guy that made more money, that did everything for somebody that really didn't have much talent. And probably Barry Windham, underrated. Because like I said, when I did the TVs at WCW, I used to get the minute-by-minute ratings. I knew who the fans at home were watching. I knew when they were going to get a beer out of the refrigerator or a cup of coffee or candy or spank the kid or whatever. And every time Barry Windham came on TV, the ratings had a little spike. They just did. Every time Booker T came in on TV, the ratings dropped. Every time the band of midgets came on TV, the ratings dropped. When the Mexicans came on TV, the ratings dropped. Goldberg, they did good. Hogan, they were huge. Barry Windham, they were huge. Different guys in different positions, but across the board, I think Barry Windham was probably the most underrated. For Barry Windham never to be the world's champion was insane. Insane.
Okay, that's a question I had personally. Why was he never a WWE or NWA heavyweight champion of the world?
Barry was Barry. Barry is crazy. I mean, not crazy. Barry, he sometimes liked to disappear for a day or two at a time and go out hunting or fishing, or he never took it. The business was so easy to him and it came so natural that he never really looked at it as work. It was always play. So if he was playing at work and having a good time and making money, then if he wanted to take a couple of days to take his family and go someplace, he just did it. So it was, he just, and I don't think the promoters realized, and I know at WCW, Eric Bischoff never looked at a television rating. The TV people, they looked at the 5-minute stuff, you know what I mean, or the quarterly ratings, but they never got a minute-to-minute sheet and sat down with a run sheet and the minute-to-minute report and looked at the names and looked to see. And they had all that available to them and they never used it. I went, holy smokes, this is so easy. And you just write a little thing. Yeah, rating came up, rating went down, rating came up. And you do that for a month. Doesn't take a genius to book the thing. You get 4 weeks in a row, somebody's rating came up, you put them on TV. Your rating don't come up, you're out of here. But no, nobody ever looked at any of that. They just kept writing down names and paying paychecks and just kept going on. The well was too deep. They never figured they'd run out of money.
Till they dried it out.
Yeah. Well, when Turner sold a bunch of the assets of TBS to Microsoft or one of the big computer companies. And the computer company wanted no sports. They didn't want baseball. They didn't want wrestling. They didn't want basketball. They didn't want nothing. They weren't into sports. They were into computers and the TV business, but they didn't want to put up with any aggravation from any athletes. So that combined with Bischoff's theft, total confusion, and everything else going on was the ultimate downfall. A lot of things bankrupted that company.
Do you enjoy the nostalgia shows you do?
Yeah, it's fun. Yeah, I enjoy going and seeing and talking to the guys, like seeing Michael Hayes and JJ and Kevin and people that I rode up and down the road with, I fought with in the ring. I did everything to kind of hear what the fans are saying today, about who they like and what they like and what's going on in their life and all that kind of stuff. And, do 1 or 2 years, kind of fun, kind of gets me out of the house and kind of keeps me in touch with different people. And it's very polite and everyone's always very nice. And it's good. I enjoy doing them. Would I want to do one every day? No.
Yeah.
But, a few years good.
Who is your favorite and least favorite opponents?
I sat down one time. I've had like 18,962 matches or something. I mean, that's a favorite opponent, and that's such a hard question because I had a ton of fun and a lot of great matches with a lot of great guys. From Sullivan to Ray Stevens to Nick Bockwinkel to Ric Flair to Harley to Terry Funk. Everyone had a different thing, and it was great working with all of them. As far as least favorite, Angelo Mosca was just a big, stiff, clumsy guy. He got an attitude in the ring, and he would just sometimes do things that didn't make any sense, and big nasty, but Angelo was Bruiser Brody. Brody'd sucker punch you. He'd try to hurt you. He'd drive a knee in your back or do something when you was sitting down. I didn't like, because you always had to be, and he was big, something bitch, and in shape too. I went through my career at 200 pounds. If he'd have been my size, he'd have been working at a car wash somewhere. The only reason a lot of those guys made it through was God's gift of size. I know I wasn't gifted with size, so I had to use my brain and intelligence and everything else to get through. So Mosca could be very difficult, and I didn't look forward to going because I knew I wasn't going to have a good match. And Brody was difficult. I knew he'd try to hurt you if he got a chance. God bless him. He didn't deserve what he got, but he was awkward. I don't know. I enjoyed the business. I enjoyed my life. I enjoyed every night I went to the ring. Never really sat down and said, "Oh God, I don't want to wrestle this guy. I don't want to do this." That just never. I always found a way to have a good match and have fun with it. And didn't worry, didn't think about the negatives, just the positives.